Welcome to the Yes to Entrepreneurship podcast. So, real quick, before I jump into the conversation with this week's guest, I just want to let you know what this show's about. Really, this show is just about all the conversations we, entrepreneurs, those of us who are the why notters, have around entrepreneurship. It's the conversation that you don't typically hear because you just see those fun posts on Instagram and Facebook where we're hanging out on yachts or we're making a ton of money and driving these fancy cars, when reality is that's not real life. Real life is trying to figure out how you're going to pay bills, trying to figure out if you're going to make rent this month, trying to figure out if that new client really is going to help move you forward or if they're really going to bring you down. Really, anything goes in these conversations. And you, the listener, gets to eavesdrop in on these conversations that I'm having with fellow entrepreneurs. So grab your cup of coffee, grab your water, grab your tea, whatever it is that you enjoy, and a pen and paper because you're about to take some notes. Also, be sure to share this out. Oh, here comes my guest. Talk to you soon. Quick shout out to our sponsor, StupidEasy.com. StupidEasy.com is a new online course platform where you can easily upload and sell your online courses without having to be tech savvy and without them taking a cut of your sales. Discover more at StupidEasy.com, and we'll have a link in the show notes for you. Adri, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So tell me a little bit about yourself because I want to know what you do and kind of how you got started.
Well, so I'm from Caracas, Venezuela, so that's the accent you're here, but I live in Dallas, Texas, so that's not my Texan accent, it's my Venezuelan accent. So I grew up in Venezuela and I started to go to law school there, but my mom and I decided to come to the US. I become fully bilingual and increase my chances of better jobs when I decided to go back home. The interesting part was that I never went back. I met my husband and I ended up staying here in the US. But I used to suffer from chronic back pain for over a decade. And the chronic back pain led me to yoga and led me to different ways to heal myself because I was determined to heal myself naturally.
Yeah.
For me, taking medications was not an option. But so just to rewind a little bit, my mom at an early age introduced me to meditation, and as a growing up through my childhood and teenage years, she introduced me to Ayurveda and yoga and other wellness techniques that funny now, but back then I was rolling my eyes like, why my mom cannot be normal, like the other kids. And then little did I know that many years later I will be teaching the same stuff that she introduced me to. So that's how I got started.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it's just so funny how at the time, it seems like it's nothing and it's no big deal. But then when you can look back at it and understand it was the stepping stone to get you to where you needed to be now.
Absolutely. Do I want the back pain back? Absolutely not. But today I've been pain-free for many years, but I'm very grateful because that back pain led me to become more empowered. So it led me to yoga and other holistic techniques that I became fully certified in, but helped me to also tap into emotional root causes that led to emotional pain and feeling disconnected and imbalanced. At an early age too, I was bullied and told I wasn't good enough. So I had a lot of those limiting beliefs that also led to the pain. So today I'm very grateful that those instances or those scenes happen in my life because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be able to help people how I do it, and I wouldn't be able to travel the world like I've been doing, teaching yoga and sharing what I love to do to help people like me that want to feel more balanced, more connected, more spiritually empowered and heal themselves naturally.
I love it. And it's so interesting that you have been able to not only make this a business, but also travel the world with it. How did that happen? How does that come about?
I honestly cannot remember. I'm trying to think back, but one of my teachers, I'm a senior teacher for her. Her name is Shiva Ray. She's worldwide known, and I became a mentor, and I do some of her teach some of her teacher trainings. So I have traveled with her in her retreats and stuff. But I believe that one thing led to the other. I was at the right time at the right place. I started to do local trainings or local workshops, and I started to lead teacher trainings. And then somehow I love to travel. I really do. It's one of my passions. And somehow I was able to and blessed with the opportunity to lead international retreats and go to other places to lead teacher trainings and conference and workshops as well.
Wow, that is so amazing. And to be able to not only do what you love and what's healed you, but then also to be able to go through and teach that to other people, not just here in the States, but outside. And do you notice, are there common connections or differences that happen when you travel to these different places? Because, the stories could be very similar, but the outcomes can be very different for people.
Yeah, it's funny that you just mentioned that. Doesn't matter where you go in the world. I truly believe that when I go to places and the people that come to these events, they're meant to be there for a reason. And I tend to do circles to go around to introduce each other and to learn more about one another. And towards the end, or even at the beginning, or somewhere in between the sessions, we realize that many of the themes that people think is just happening to them, it's happening to everyone,
Yes.
And even though the reasons you may step on a mat or you go to a training or a retreat might be different from the person next to you, what I love is that there's a theme that connects us all, but also what you receive is exactly what you need to receive. So the results vary from person to person. And that's something I have experienced myself as a student and as a holistic wellness coach and teacher as well. Everybody will get exactly what they need, when they need it, how they need it. From my personal experience, there were trainings that I experienced later on after I was able to build a strong foundation, meaning I started through yoga, and yoga led me to other holistic techniques and more and spiritual trainings that if I would have started there, I don't know if I would have been able to embrace all the teachings, embrace the process that helped me learn so much about myself, but also how to fully connect with other people, because that's the beauty about this. I have been able to establish meaningful connections and see amazing transformation with people that I've been able to feel what they felt. I've been in the shoes they're wearing right now. We travel the road together. If you don't suffer from chronic back pain, you really don't know how that can affect not just your health and your range of motion, but how it can affect you mentally and emotionally speaking as well.
Sure.
So I believe that everybody will get exactly what they need, how they need it, and when they're ready to receive it.
I love that. And that is so true. I find that in entrepreneurship all the time. And it's one of those things, especially when starting out. And I mean, it happens to us when we're well established too, but especially starting out, that we think about that and we try to keep that in mind, but it can be very hard sometimes to realize that is true, because we want it to happen now and we want to be 10 steps ahead and we want to skip the work that needs to be done in order to build that solid foundation.
Absolutely. You just mentioned something so important, which is the instant gratification that we want something, we want it now, and we forget to do our inner work. We forget that, let's say it took somebody 20 years or 20 years worth of experiences that led that person, or 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, that led that person to have or be who they are today, meaning the experiences, everything that has happened to them in their lives, it led them to, let's say, chronic back pain, just to use myself as an example.
Yeah.
So those years, like I can expect to just be like healed overnight when it took 20 years of limiting beliefs or bad posture or whatever it is to get me to where I am. So
Yes.
that healing comes, or the mind body connection comes from doing your inner work, and doesn't happen instantly. It's something, it may not be easy, it may not be pretty, but the results are always worth it. So you just have to know that, you just have to see the bigger picture, that my end result always was to heal myself naturally, to become pain-free, to feel more balanced and connected, to feel worthy, to feel like I could make a difference. That was my end result. Did I get healed in a year? No, it took longer than that, despite of me practicing yoga regularly, because I wasn't ready to let go of the limiting beliefs that were attached to the back pain. And I'm not saying that all back pains or all pains are related to something, but a lot of the issues that may come up for us in our lives are due to limiting beliefs or things that happened to us in the past that we continue to hold on to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And, it's very interesting how even in that example, you bring up a great point that it's somebody on one of my podcast episodes had said, an overnight success is 10 years in the making. And
yes,
it's so true, because it may seem like it's overnight with a lot of the social media presence, but like you said, it takes a long time to get to even to small wins, let alone the big ones. And
yes,
like you said, it's very important to have that end goal and to know the bigger picture. I talk about this a lot. It's the BSQ method: think big, act small, move quickly. And you had the think big, you knew it, and you started to move quickly, but with those small steps to get to where you needed to be.
absolutely. Because one thing I've seen over and over and over is, in order to achieve long-lasting results and positive transformations, you need to really address the mind, body, and emotions. And oftentimes, you cannot fix something that you don't know. And some of these things are in the background, running in our subconscious mind. So it takes work, it takes digging to begin to bring these things to the surface. And also, the biggest transformations always start with a small step. It takes one step at a time. So when I see commercials or see these like lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Yes, you might lose 30 pounds in 30 days, but they don't talk what happens afterwards. You gain those 30 pounds, maybe even 60 pounds, because it's not a long lasting result, because you didn't do the work. You just did the crash course and that was it. So yeah, if anybody that's serious about making a difference in their lives, to anybody that's serious about making long lasting and positive transformations in their lives, they really need to know that it's not going to be overnight, that it might take a little time, but the results are always worth it. And not to give up, because there are times where you feel overwhelmed and you're like, oh my gosh, how much longer? I've been doing this for this amount of time. But that's why it's so important to get somebody to support you, like a coach or like people that are serious about toning their bodies. They had a personal trainer. All these professional athletes, they have a team of people working with them so they can perform at the optimum. They're not doing it by themselves.
Right. And that's so true. That's what I tell everyone. Teamwork equals success. Like, you have to work together, especially in anything you do, but especially entrepreneurship, because it can be very lonely, and a lot of people just don't get it because they're not in that mindset, and they don't know how it can work if they're not at a full-time job. And entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, but it is so rewarding in situations like this where you can make a difference. And when you know that what you're doing is motivating and inspiring others, and to have that accountability partner, that coach, that mentor, that personal trainer. Like, I'm huge on fitness, and I, for example, know a lot of workouts that I can do. I've tried some. I do a lot of
research. So I find a lot of workouts for free online. And then recently I ended up buying an actual program. It's a 90-day workout program that was, the reason I bought it was because the sales videos were really good. I really enjoyed what they brought to the table before I even got to the product. And then it was only $47. So I said, you know what? It's cheaper than getting a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. It's only $47. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least I tried it. And I'm on day 26 right now. And it's fantastic. Like, I have seen progress. I've kept with it consistently, even when it's been hard. And I see the progress being made, and I've seen the weight that I've gained in terms of muscle and being able to, slim down still at the same time. So it's very interesting. And then there's still that part of me that's like, okay, but I'm not to the exact, results that I really want. And then I have to remind myself, well, that's because you're not finished with the program. If you keep doing this, you're gonna be fine. And you've already seen the results a little over almost a month now, keep going. And so it's just constantly reminding yourself and having somebody else do that for you too.
Absolutely. And you mentioned being an entrepreneur too. Like, we all have a zone of genius, meaning we all have areas where we excel, areas that we are passionate about, talking, sharing, teaching, doing, right? And there are areas where we're not. So when we are in business for ourselves, especially solopreneurs, yes, where you have to do it all. You're wearing multiple hats. It is important to recognize where your zone of genius is, how to operate from it, and then kind of, if money is an issue, then try to figure out if you can trade or have some type of support from somebody else that can do some of the stuff that you don't like doing, because that's part of being an entrepreneur. Is like, and I learned this the hard way.
Yeah.
It can take me 10 hours to do something, but somebody that's an expert on that thing, it might take them an hour. So I may just pay them a little bit extra, or make, the effort to pay them whatever it is to get it done for them in an hour, than me spending 10 hours of my day when I could have been working my Son of Genius, or I could have been spending time with my family, or I could have been doing some more of the yoga videos I have for the membership site. So that's something that we have to remember as entrepreneurs, that we really need to concentrate on what we're good at, and eventually begin to have some type of teamwork or co-create with other people that their Son of Genius complement our Son of Geniuses, and also that they can do the stuff that we're not good at.
Yeah, and that you nailed it there, because that is a big issue that comes up all the time is, everyone, I'll use a common example for websites. Everyone wants to build their own website because they want to save the money. Mm-hmm. And I get it, because there's a lot of people out there that charge a lot for websites. And, right, some people just need a very basic one. And so I get the reason why people want to do it themselves. But at the same time, like you said, if that's not their zone of genius, which most of the time it's not, don't waste that time and frustration and patience all on that. And then weeks and months go by, you still don't have a website, and you still haven't worked in your business at all because you've been so tied up with trying to do the website that you get frustrated and give up. That's what happens a lot of the times. And so for me, I have to help educate people on that same subject. Like, listen, if you don't want to do this or can't do this, then you need to reach out and have help with this so that you can continue to do what you want to do and what you enjoy doing, because it's important. Otherwise, if you don't, then you're not going to get too far. And that's the unfortunate part.
And not only that, is that one of the things I noticed too, self-care goes out of the window. So you get stressed, you're in front of the computer, you're not sleeping, you're eating probably junk, yep, you're not exercising, aches and pains coming in your body because you're so tense, so then as an entrepreneur, doesn't matter how busy you are. Actually, the busier you are, the more self-care you need to be doing. Like when I
Yes.
was traveling quite a bit, I was traveling so much over the past few years that last year I said, I need to slow down. I cannot continue to do this anymore. But I learned the hard way. The first few months, I was, I was the best for everybody, but then I came home and I was run down, getting sick, full of aches and pain. And that's when I realized self-care, if I'm going to sustain this lifestyle, I need to take care of myself. And that included meditation, breathing, yoga, supplements, eating healthy, all these different things that are very important to take care of yourself. So then you can really embrace your son of genius and be healthy and walk your talk, because that's how they're seeing that the online world is fantastic. I mean, it can connect people all over the world. However, it also can be very impersonal, and everybody can claim to be a expert in something,
Right.
So that it's important to, as an entrepreneur, that you're really living, breathing, and becoming who you are, you say you are, like you become your brand, like you walk your talk, because otherwise people will see through it and it's not good.
Yeah, no, you know what, you bring up a fantastic point. I love having this conversation with people about the self-care, because there's so many messages out there of the hustle, and people need to just keep pushing harder and harder, and you got to get more clients, and there's all this pressure of doing more, but then there's not enough people talking about, like you used that great example about the lose 30 pounds in 30 days, but what happens afterwards. And so same type of thing. Everyone talks about the hustle, and if you hustle more and have more clients, you'll have more success and you'll lead to more money. But nobody talks about what actually really happens, which is, like you were saying, you get burnt out, you get sick. And I am constantly reminding people, like, if you're burnt out, if you're sick, then nothing gets done. And that means that your business can't sustain itself. And that means that people that are trying to work with you can't work with you. And so, I'm always saying less is more, and to really be picky with your time, protect your time, because you do need to have that self-care, that personal development time, especially because even if you're not going to do certain parts of your business, you still need to be aware of it, and you still want to keep up with what's going on in the world, because it's going to affect you in some way, shape, or form,
Absolutely. And something I teach in classes a lot and talk about a lot is that we close our eyes so we can truly see. We can quiet our minds so we can truly hear. And what I mean by that, it's not just the constant noise that we bombarded with technology, our phones and Facebook and social media and all this stuff. But when we spend time breathing, meditation or praying, whatever form you want to do it, but when you spend some quiet time, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, and you close your eyes, I promise you will feel better. You have mental clarity. Your energy will shift, because when you're burnt out, when you're stressed, when you're struggling, that's the energy you're sending out too. People can feel it. People can sense it. That's the energy your business is having as well. So I love talking about that. Close your eyes so you can truly see. Quiet your mind so you can truly hear. And you hear your intuition. You hear the guidance that comes from within, which is so important. That's part, again, of self-care,
Yeah, no, and that's a great point as well, because I do that a lot. I'll be honest, I don't do the yoga yet or the meditation in that sense, but when it comes to having my downtime, I try to set a 5-minute timer or something every so often, where I just am just tuning out the world and just relaxing. Or, my self-care is really going to the gym and working out. And it's pretty crazy because it's almost a daily thing. And the minute I get in the car and drive to the gym, it actually, that's when I start getting my clarity. And that's when things start, it's the weirdest thing. I mean, I could leave the house and not even be a mile down the street, and all of a sudden I just start getting on fire with like ideas and answers to the questions I had. And it's very it's very, therapeutic. I really enjoy it.
Absolutely. You know, I laugh because it's so true. Well, you mentioned you take 5 minutes at a time, you set the timer and breathe. That's yoga in action. Yoga doesn't look, yes, we know yoga on the mat and doing exercises or whatever, or meditation. You think you have to sit down and be there for 30 minutes, breathing and not thinking about anything. That's not true. Meditation can happen when you're swimming, when you're walking, moving meditation, being at the gym in the zone. Meditation's being in the zone.
Yeah.
But what I laugh because you mentioned when you get in your car and you're driving to the gym, a shift begin to happen is because your body knows, like, oh, we're going in this direction now. It's me time. It's time to clear the mind. Oh my gosh, we're hitting the pause button or the reset button. So it is something that is a practice already that people don't realize. It's a self-care practice that makes huge transformations.
I like that. And I wouldn't have thought of that because I'm not in that mindset, right? That's not my so it's very interesting that you point that out because that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And so I'm curious, how do people find out about you and how do they get connected with you?
I'm in social media through Adri Kyser, but my main website is adrikaiser.com. That's ADRIKYSER.com. And Facebook, Instagram, they can find me through the same name as well. I have lots of great offers. Like I have an online yoga, meditation, and Pilates studio that you get access to. Right now, there are over 90 classes in there.
No kidding.
Yeah, you can stream anytime, anywhere. I'll be adding more classes every few months. And it's only $14.99 for now because the more I add classes, and I'm also doing intuitive healing, so I'm going to be doing some live sessions for it too.
Sure.
So that the pricing might change. I'm ready to launch a program in October called Enlightened Alchemy, which I absolutely love. I'm so excited about it. Is to help people release limiting beliefs, energy blocks, to embrace the fullest potential, awaken to their power, connect with intuition, start a spiritual practice, receive whether it's yoga exercises or not. But it's a whole mind, body, emotion and spiritual transformation. So it's transformation of the self to live a more empowered, meaningful, and fulfilling life. So,
wow. And so how do you manage that all? How do you keep track of, these fresh ideas and programs and the videos? Are you using any kind of software programs or writing it all out, or how does that work?
Oh my gosh, I've done everything because I am a solopreneur at this moment too. And
yep.
I have people helping me now. But I created a lot of this the membership site for classes. I opened it last year and I'm paying for a service to host the classes.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the middle of redoing my Adri Kyser programs website. You'll find all my online courses there. I have online classes for aromatherapy and essential oils and chakras, or my best self cleanse, which I ran a few times last year with excellent results for people, because my goal behind them is to teach, behind all the courses I do, is to empower people to take charge of their life and their wellness. So when I do a 28-day cleanse program, it's no you're going to be sick and no eating. It's actually teaching you how to combine the right food, how to eat healthy, what practices you can do to help you detox your body, your mind, your emotions naturally, safely, in a holistic way, so you can see results and keep the results. I have many of my clients that done the cleanse last year, and they still kept the weight off.
Oh, good.
Many of them are still doing some of the practices that they learned through the program. So, but how I create the programs, I don't know, the one I'm just creating right now, I'm in the middle of the creation of this Enlightened Alchemy program. And it's just an intuition that just came in, and I had this aha moment, and I felt ready to do it. I done some spiritual energy work trainings, and part of them is learning how to help people release limiting beliefs or energy blocks. Let me give you an example. Like when somebody as a child was told, like, be quiet, don't talk,
Right.
or they were made fun of how they spoke. Like, when I first came to the US back in 95, I didn't speak English that fluently. And there were many people that were so rude to me, that made some mean comments that I became so self-conscious. I didn't speak in public for 3 months because
Wow.
I was so embarrassed about my accent, about the way I pronounce things, etc. And so people that have experienced things like that, eventually they get some energetic blocks around their throat. They feel like they're not being heard, or they're afraid to say whatever they feel, think, or want to do because they're afraid of being judged, etc. So through this program, through many different techniques, I'm helping them release some of the limiting beliefs that sometimes they're not even aware of that they have.
Sure.
But once they tap into it, they're able to release them and things open up in a positive way. So this is a program that just happened from personal experience and from things I've been working on and from things I'm seeing when working with clients that are coming up. So
I love it. I think that's fantastic. You know, that's what happens with entrepreneurship, right? Is that we have to take what we know and what we're passionate about, and we have to take those real life examples and use those as opportunities to do more with them, right? It's instead of letting that hold you down and not talk about that, you sharing that information and doing something about it really not only grows you and lets you stand out there, but it also helps others who maybe are facing the same problem, and really motivates and inspires them to let their voices be heard, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people they're facing whatever problem they are facing, they think they are the only ones facing that problem. You know, they feel alone. So when they see somebody's like, I was there and I can help you, or I can show you the way so you can do it for yourself. Because my idea, my goal, my dream always been that through my experiences to inspire others to feel empowered to release and heal whatever things they're carrying with them, but to even become better than I can ever be. You know, my goal as a teacher is for my students to become better than I ever been as a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's why I teach and share programs that come from my heart, that are personal experiences. I couldn't teach a program, about how to create your website, because that wouldn't feel authentic. People will see through it and it probably will flop, you know? So when you really speak from your heart, when you realize that your past doesn't define you, when you realize that your past experiences actually led you to where you are today, and you can use that to inspire and empower others, the results are amazing. The other day, I saw a quote somewhere and I brought it into class, and it was like, because it spoke to me. When I was told I wasn't good enough and I was bullied, obviously that's a belief that I carry with me for a long time. So I pushed myself harder. I wanted to be perfect all the time. So the quote says something that you don't have to be perfect to inspire others. Let your imperfections be the inspiration.
Oh, I love that.
Let how you handle your imperfections be the inspiration. So I don't have to be perfect, but how I handle my imperfections is what's going to create that connection, inspiration to others, you know?
And that's such a beautiful quote and a thought too, you know, because we often feel so, like, just in general, not even adding entrepreneurship in there, but just in general, we feel so much like we have to be perfect in everything and we can't show any mistakes or any flaws. And then you throw in entrepreneurship and it's like, it takes us even more stress and takes us to that next stressful level, because we see so-and-so just made 6 figures, and we see this email list is growing for, you know, John down the street. And I mean, the list just goes on with all this comparison. I call it the comparison game.
Yeah.
And it's like, But if we just slow down and reflect on what we're doing and where we've come from, then we'll realize that we actually have had success, and that what we think were failures were actually opportunities that led us to where we're at now.
Absolutely. They were stepping stones to help you overcome obstacles. I truly believe that challenges and obstacles are in our lives to help us grow. You know, so you always have a choice. You can let it define you and hold you back, or you can choose to be like, oh no, let's grow from these. And absolutely. And the thing is that unfortunately with the online community out there, they say grow your email list from this to this in X amount of time, but they fail to mention, you know, all the failures that they had before. You know what I mean? So yeah, like you said, success is 10 years in the making, right?
Yeah. And, you know, and that's why I really have enjoyed doing my Yes to Entrepreneurship podcast, because for me, I like talking to people and I like hearing stories. I always have. And being able to share what I know with others. And what's been cool about the podcast is that from the start, people have really enjoyed it and have really not only enjoyed the format, but the realness that comes with it. And that they hear these stories like we were talking about earlier, you know, where they're not the only ones having that problem. They thought they were, but now that they've heard the podcast, they're like, I'm not the only one. I thought I was the only one, but now I know it's not just me. I am okay. Like I can keep moving forward. And that's just really empowering. And that's what motivates me to keep going and to continue to share messages like that, you know, because again, it's teamwork equals success. Like we're all in this together and we have to help one another. And that doesn't necessarily always equal a paycheck. It equals those rewards that take you to that next level.
Absolutely. And reminding ourselves that not to let the fear, the embarrassment, the shame, or whatever, the guilt of making mistakes, or you know, hiring the wrong person, or losing money and trying X, Y, and Z, and just because everybody's done it to one degree or another, or maybe didn't make that mistake, but make something else that was just as painful for that person. So again, it's reminding ourselves that we're not alone, that, you know, our mistakes you're not the first person nor the last person that's going to make that mistake, but see those mistakes also as opportunity to grow, so you don't hold yourself back, so you can really share who you are. Because I truly believe we're here, every single person in this world is here for a reason, and every single person has a unique set of gifts and talents that somebody else needs. There are a million yoga teachers out there. There are a million holistic wellness coaches out there. There are a million website developers out there. But only you can do it the way you do it. Only you can see the scenes the way you see them. Only you can speak from your own heart, because nobody else has your heart, right? So it's your experiences that makes you unique. It's your differences that makes you unique. It's your highs and lows that are going to help you really connect with others in a meaningful way, and hopefully inspire them to shine their own light and be the light for others in the process. Because it takes just one candle to light multiple candles before, you know, all the candles in the world are shining brightly. So.
Wow, I love that. That was so beautiful. And that is exactly right. You know, I think a lot of us get so discouraged from the start because we think, oh, there's already a ton of people who are doing this already. And why would somebody buy from me? I mean, I had that thought when I first started out too. And it's true. You have to bring you to the table. What defines you? Because that's what people are investing in. It's you and your messages and your heart and your soul that you're bringing to it, which is why, you know, you have to pick something that you're passionate about, because it's a lot of work, and that's the only way it's going to succeed is if it's something you're passionate about, because that's what's going to keep you going, but then also what others are going to see and want to be a part of.
Absolutely. You know, I have shared in my classes multiple times, if I let those people back in 1995, you know, hold me back and believe the stuff that they said, I wouldn't be teaching yoga for once, and I never would have traveled the world teaching yoga and wellness. I probably wouldn't have found a way to heal myself from my chronic back pain and release some of the emotional wounds that I was carrying. So, you know, I always remind people too that what other people think of you is not of your business. Usually people will criticize, judge, or stuff based on their own beliefs. Nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. So when you show yourself truly who you are with your beautiful strengths and your flaws, people will connect with that. Not just showing the part that you think people want to see, not showing just your perfect self, because people won't buy that. But when you show some of the imperfections, when you show some of those vulnerable moments, people can really connect with you. And that applies in all aspects of life. So
yeah, no, it's so true. And before I let you go, let me ask you, what's a piece of advice that you would give somebody who's thinking about starting entrepreneurship, or who maybe is fresh into entrepreneurship? What's something that you would give them for advice?
Well, figure out their why. It sounds like a cliche and you hear it all the time, but it's so important. If you, like I mentioned, there are a million yoga teachers or holistic wellness coaches or, copywriters or doctors or nurses, whatever. There's a million of anything you can think of. There's a lot of people doing it already. So why do you want to do it? Why is the driving force behind it? And be honest about it. Is it to make more money? Okay. Is it because you want to make a difference? Fantastic. Is it because it will help you achieve X, Y, and Z? But be clear about it. So when you find out your why, then you can begin to open up to all the possibilities. Also, not to be afraid to make mistakes. You can avoid that. You're going to make mistakes. You may lose money here or there. You may try something and won't work out. If you start a program or whatever, you create a product and it flops the first time or the 10th time or the 100th time, don't give up, because what's going to keep you going forward and moving forward is knowing why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes, and I couldn't agree more. And it's true. We don't hear it enough. It's out there. We hear it, but we don't hear it enough, because if we did, we would all be knowing our why from the start.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Dive deeper into the conversation with this guest as well as others by going to yes-to-entrepreneurship.com/podcast. Over there, you will find a list of all the previous episodes and bonus material for each guest. I hope that you'll continue to share out this podcast, and please be sure to leave a review in iTunes and subscribe, so that way others can discover this show and be able to realize that they are not alone and that they have somebody they can count on to provide value and motivate and inspire them to keep moving forward. Together, we can make it happen. And like I always say, teamwork equals success. So go out there and do something great, because why not?